All right, so in today's video, we are going to be taking some tactical pens and we are going to show you some ways to utilize them realistically. This is the second video I've done on tactical pens, and the first one kind of got some responses as if one of the products was not as effective as the other. So I wanted to fix that, but I also wanted to take the thought process that these are not good for self-defense and kind of challenge myself on how I would actually utilize them if I wanted to teach someone else how to protect themselves with a tool that isn't really exactly optimal. All right, so as promised, I am going to show you how to do murdery things with a pen. I apologize to anybody that gets offended because I am going to utilize the scenario. So this scenario is that Marcus or Frank over on this side, they are posing some sort of great bodily harm to me or trying to kill me. And so I am responding in kind by drawing a weapon. Remember that the pen is supposed to replace a folder, a fixed blade, or a pistol. And so if you use a pen and you start stabbing the shit out of the person, then you are going to be charged or looked at in that same fashion. So you cannot draw a pen out in your hand. He reaches up to grab him, you stab him in his arm and go, I was just making him let go. Okay, it's the same thing that if he tried to do that same thing, I can't just cut him with a knife and then go, that's there, because there's no actual threat. Okay, so we're understanding that that's the scenario. And because I don't like pens, I wanted to steelman the argument and go, hey, how would I actually do damage? So the next thing that we're going to talk about is targets of the body, that if I had the ability to take the pen and drive that into him, where am I going to actually hit? All right, so we have the Stealth Pen Pro from the Atomic Bear. The last video, I kind of demonstrated on Bob when stabbing with pens, pencils, and this particular pen. And it did not go through the target like I wanted it to. And the response was that it wasn't a decent pen for self-defense. That was not my intent, and I don't believe that. The thing is that just because it cannot penetrate the same way that this pen can or a sharpened number 2 pencil, there are ways to use this pen that are pretty efficient. And so what we're going to do is we're going to work with these. One of the cool things about this pen here is that it does have the DNA catcher and you have the ability to write with this, but if you take that part off, this becomes flat. And because it's flat, it allows you to get close without actually doing any damage to your training partner. All right, so what are some target areas of the body that I would want to focus on? We'll start at the extremities. If I have any ability to pin his hand to a surface area, whether that be on the ground or even himself, and then I stab as hard as I possibly can through the back, there's a lot of small bones here that's going to damage their hand. So that would be something that I would like to target. The clavicle, I don't know if you've ever been knuckle wrapped on your clavicle before, but taking a piece of metal and touching right here, it tickles, okay? But that actually doesn't have any ability to cause real structural damage. It just causes pain, okay? And I don't believe in pain compliance. So how am I going to shut him down? Well, we need to have one attack. So because the pen, when he reaches to grab, say I do this, okay? So I hit his arm and I actually stab and penetrate through his forearm. The way that the tool will work is if it does penetrate enough to go into his body, it's going to get stuck. And when he pulls his arm back, which he's going to do because that's a natural reaction, more than likely the pen is going to be pulled. The other thought process is that if I'm here and he reaches and grabs, all of these types of defenses from other experts are in a very controlled and confined area, meaning I see the bad guy, I'm in a position where I can defend, and I can do this perfect defense. The problem with self-defense is everything is an ambush. So more than likely, it's going to be a surprise. It's going to be when I don't see it, I'm going to hit the ground. And then in turn, what's going to happen is the likelihood that by hitting him or stabbing him in that process, am I going to hit something that is vital? And am I going to be able to maintain control of the pen? So the thought process that I can hit his hand while we're in this position is not likely. You can spar and figure that one out. And then trying to hit somebody in the clavicle, even though that's going to hurt him, that is not going to be very easy to land when he doesn't want me to do that. So the areas that I'm looking for is I want to use normal self-defense. I just want normal grabs. I want to control the body. And then I want to target areas that I know are going to shut him down. There are a couple of soft areas of the skull that you can actually stab through. All right, so the issue with this is that you have to reinforce whatever damage you're working on. So I'm not going to stab into the neck and expect this to drive through. I have to have some sort of reinforced grip. So one thing that you can do if you want to stab into the neck is you can bury their head. Now, there's a way to grip, if you could get close up on this, on the neck that will turn his head, and we'll do this on the ground too. Your fingers will wrap right here where everything kind of bundles up, and then it rolls his head sideways. So when he tries to pull his head away, it's stuck. If I just cup the back of the neck and he tries to pull away, I have no control. So the thing is that you'll use a grappling technique to secure this. Then from here, you'll place the pen into his ear. From there, I will reinforce the grip, drive my chest forward, and pull, driving that through the ear. If you penetrate far enough, it will kill them. If anything, it will destroy their ability to have any balance, and it will hurt like a motherfucker. All right, so you have the ability to go into the ear. The temple is another one. The eyes are excellent targets, but when you're targeting the eyes, once again, you need some sort of counterbalance, and so we're going to work on that in a second. So we're going to work on normal grabs, normal strikes, and I'm going to show you how I would present the pen. Most of the time when an expert is showing self-defense, once again, they're using the pen proactively. What I want to present is you have something that you can utilize for one powerful strike or stab. You're going to want to save that. Save it for the time that you want to kill that person or just change their mind dramatically. So everything else is just taking the pen, placing it in your hand, and doing everything else that you normally would. So obviously this penetrates a lot more because of the shape of it, but it doesn't work really well in training. So just as an example, if you place the pen just like this inside of your hand, where it would be in an ice pick grip, I can reach up and grab him and then physically move him around as if I'm grabbing, even though I do have a pen here. If I can get inside, so if his hands are here, I rotate in. As we start to grapple, then I can start working into stabbing him. If I want to grab his wrist, I have full control of his wrist. I can do all of my arm drags. I can start working whatever wrestling that you want to work on here and start to control the head, work the end, whatever you want to work on. I'm actually not changing my self-defense. So if he throws like a haymaker or something like that, me sliding in, I'm not using the pen itself to hit him because that is completely different than how I would normally defend against the haymaker. So however you would defend unarmed, I want you to defend with this in your hand and understand that you are trying to position yourself for that final part. Okay, so if he throws a haymaker, I'm here, I would be sliding in. If you want to throw the knee, if you want to rotate into the arm, that's fine. Then from this point, once you have incapacitated them, then you can start working about stabbing in those areas. All right, so you should be able to do all of your normal grabs, all your normal hooks, any type of wrestling and ground fighting with this in your hand. So that's first. All right, so on that point, say normal chokes, front choke, we're here. Instead of trying to stab the arm just like this, me breaking his arm or striking the arm is something that I would do even with this. So wrist-to-wrist contact here, my forearm hits the back of their elbow. As their hand comes up to my neck, then I would be hitting that and then moving directly around from there. If he's going for a rear choke, what would happen is I would rotate in and pop their groin, step off to the side, hit their arm, keep the arm bent, much tension. And in turn, what would happen is, once again, I'm not using the pen in that scenario. It is just in my hand if I need it. So you can flesh this completely out on all scenarios. You can grapple, you can spar, and you can do the entire round with the pen in your hand so that you get used to working with that. All right, so Frank is here, he takes me down, and then from that point we use our normal ground fighting, controlling the head, controlling the arms, trying to get our legs wrapped around. Okay, so once we're here, we're trying to stop him from hitting. If he sits up and starts to throw shots, then in turn this is going to be bad for me. So what I want is I want to hold him down, and as he starts to kind of like wind up, I'm just controlling. Now there's a couple of things that we can work on to try to push him away to work in, but because he's so close, and we do have a tool here, we want to actually use it. So one thing that we do in jiu-jitsu is we control the head with that certain grip that I showed you from standing. So from here, I'm going to grab the inside of that neck, and from here, rotate his head sideways. So when he starts to try to pull his arm or his head away, he's stuck. Okay. So once again, if I just hold the head here and he pulls away, he's just going to rip out. So we're good. So I'm here. I grab the inside of their neck, roll this sideways. Now from here, I would lock, and then I would just pull into this position. I am aiming for the inside of his ear. If you want, you can have a different grip. That grip would be here. I would place my thumb directly at the tip. From this point, I would place it into his eye. Notice safety goggles. Okay. I would place it into his eye, and then in turn, I would try to roll his head into the ground as the pen is going into the eye. Okay. This is going to cause some sort of reaction where it pulls him away, and then from that point, I can kick him out, and I can start getting up. Okay. You can use small joint manipulation. So meaning if we're here, I can start attacking either his thumbs or his fingers. And you'll notice that even with the pen in my hand, I have the ability to do all of my normal techniques. Now the excellent part about this is if I want to choke him here, I have to get under his chin. There are a number of ways to do this in jiu-jitsu. You can rip underneath the nose. You can slide it down here. One cool technique, we'll rotate a little bit so that you can see this. Tuck your chin. So they take the pen, thumb is going to go right on the top. Remember, the tip would be there. And I would rotate into the nostril, and that would lift his head up, which would allow me to start working into my normal chokes. If I don't care about choking him, I would flatten him out in this position, grab his forehead, rotate down so that the pen is here, and then fall as hard as I can through that, and just give him a nice hug. Do that a couple times, and he probably won't want to fight anymore. I'm controlling. Yes. Yeah, you can make whatever comments you want. So, hooking here, rolling the head sideways. Oh, and then here.
You're having a great time.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, here. I think that was more like there.
Just by what you just did. You know how you said like it's only a one stick and go? Just have 1,000 pens or why does this man have 57 pens?
I write a lot of shit.
Good.
I am an author.
Do that one again. Okay?
Yeah.
Never know when you're doing great.
Yeah, this sucked.
Do you really feel uncomfortable?
Yes.
Oh, those don't feel good.
I don't know whose fault it is.
It's somebody's fault. Yeah, that's a great way to end this one.
This is the real thing.
Yeah. He picked your nose.
He's just getting the bats out of the cave.
Yeah. Well done. Imagine what I was bringing home.
This should be your
You
Frank's
mean the
face. Don't tempt him.
No, he does. He already knows. Fucking Tai Chi master.
Are we filming? Okay. So we're here. We'll tee up. And then. All right, so not sure if I'm going to use any of these techniques, but you are in mount. Have the pen in your hand just like this. Normal jiu-jitsu, as I'm driving this down, I can use that to work for my key locks. I can also control, as we're working around, holding the arm, sliding this directly up to secure the arm, and now from here it allows me to reinforce whatever strike I'm working. If I want to get closer, I can hug and then drive my weight back into that position. If I want to get his arm closer to his neck, I just place the pen itself down. This isn't really doing anything except making it uncomfortable, but that does allow me to trap the arm and start working in. And now from here, I can start using this to my advantage. Your ground fighting positions, like side control, should all be the same. I just have the pen in my hand. I can switch grips if I want to rotate in, maybe going for the eye. I can rotate in here, then drive this directly down. I would probably try to control his arms a little bit more because he can block with this. And so this is going to be a pain in the ass for me. I would try to break something, maybe stab him a couple times. I don't really care if I lose the grip here because I can just get it again. But the thing is that anytime that we are working your normal position and control, you just have to apply those skill sets with the pen in your hand. All right, so a couple grips that I'll throw out there for those of you that have striking ability. You take the pen itself, place it between these two knuckles here, and then just hold down. Because of the way that the angle is, if I throw a shot, understanding that I can't hit as hard as I normally do, this is still going to cause damage. So if I'm here on this pillar, I wouldn't hit it as hard as possible, but in turn, that is the type of damage on a pop that would happen. So all I'm doing is hitting enough to cause some sort of stab and retracting. That isn't going to make me let go. Another grip that you can have is placing your thumb once again on the tip here. You want to make sure that the tip protrudes past your nail here. And you do the same thing, like if I threw a shot, all I'm doing is just driving in and my hand is pressing. You'll notice that I'm not actually hitting. I'm just popping and pulling directly back. Okay, so how would that be applied? So safety first, one of you guys. So in this position, if I wanted to like hit him where maybe he grabbed me and then in turn I just dropped this down and then I threw that shot would hit him in the head. I don't care if it hits the eyes. I'm just trying to get some sort of a pop, stabbing him, cutting him. His hands come up. When his hands come up, then in turn I can do whatever you want to drive him down. But the thing is that say he throws like a right cross, in turn I'm parrying this, then I throw my right cross and I'm hitting. Now I'm not throwing it like we're boxing, but I'm going to pop him and it's going to do more damage. Then from that point I can get closer and start working whatever I want to because I have resident skill for that. So those are two grips that you can apply if you have those boxing skills. All right, so we're here, two-hand position. Yep. So all right, arm drag. This comes across. As it returns, my thumb goes to the tip, and then it goes into the neck. So that's a little bit more using the pen itself, but off of this, me doing an arm drag right into getting behind them and then tossing them. It's a normal body manipulation technique. What? All right, so a couple questions that came up from Marcus and Frank. The entire premise, once again, is utilizing your normal skill set. So in jiu-jitsu, when we start to work arm drags, what we normally do is we pull and then we rotate down and then I do some sort of takedown. In self-defense, we work on trying to pull the body away and then we do what we call a body manipulation technique where you hit the lower back, then this comes back forward so that I can choke him or I can drop him directly down. One of the techniques that they were asking about was if we're here and we're grappling, if I get directly here to either an underhook around the waist or onto the shoulder and then eventually to a body lock. If I want, I can take the pen, rotate it in, and then any normal type of takedown where I were to grab him, lift the hips up, and then toss him backwards, or if I'm behind him here, placing the pen behind his spine and now pulling that in is going to create more leverage on all of those techniques. If he's grabbing to hit me or grabbing to stab, let's rotate. If he had a knife in his hand, one of the things that we talk about is the attachment is actually what you need to focus on. And the very fact that he is having to reach up to grab, your natural reaction should be to intercept that instead of allowing him to grab and then having to worry about whatever's happening there, right? So we're here when he reaches up to grab, it's just normal movement, so that once I grab here, he's not really going to be able to deliver that shot without repositioning from there. And reiterating again, everything is just normal positions that I would normally have, regardless of if the pen was in my hand or not. Rear choke, opposite side where the pen is in my right hand. I wouldn't actually target the groin, mainly for the fact that this pen, well, none of the pens will probably go through denim and actually hit the groin and cause damage like I need it to, especially if this choke actually is under my chin. So the technique I would have you work on is pulling, rotating in, and then from this position start standing that guy up. And now you can use the pen here to create distance if you want to. But the fact that you have an inferior tool that doesn't do enough damage, you're going to have to alter it. So there are some parts of this where you have to think ahead and go, is it going to do the damage that I need it to, or is it going to get caught? So another example would be if I try to hit him center of the chest and then he starts to rotate, is this going to get ripped out of my hand? I hope you enjoyed that. I just wanted to leave you with the takeaway that I hope you're gathering, is that a pen is not actually a good self-defense tool in the way that people present it. And the way that a lot of experts talk about these things is that it is a replacement for a knife or a pistol, which it's not. It is no way effective like those tools. And the only reason you would ever use a pen or a pencil or a tactical pen in self-defense is because you cannot carry what you would want to carry or use the actual tools that are designed to open people up. And the thought process that this is a good alternative only is a valid statement if you have a lot of skill. So you have to invest in your other skill sets. Everything from your combative sports all the way to real self-defense. If you don't have those skills, this is not going to save your ass. And if you do have those skills, then this is an excellent tool. And when I start looking across the board on the various products that you can pick from, there really isn't that much difference. The fact is that it's always going to rely on you, and this thing is not really going to enhance your skills that much, but it will create a little bit more damage than, say, unarmed defense. For those of you that don't have the resident skill in violence to apply, this actually might hinder your ability to cause violence because you're going to rely on it so much.